You're known and celebrated for working across an incredible breadth of mathematics, reminiscent of Hilbert a century ago. In fact, the great Fields Medal winning mathematician Tim Gowers has said that you are the closest thing we get to Hilbert. He's a colleague of yours.
Oh, yeah. Good friend.
But anyway, so you are known for this ability to go both deep and broad in mathematics. So you're the perfect person to ask. Do you think there are threads that connect all the disparate areas of mathematics? Is there a kind of deep underlying structure to all of mathematics?
There's certainly a lot of connecting threads, and a lot of the progress of mathematics can be represented by stories of two fields of mathematics that were previously not connected and finding connections. An ancient example is geometry and number theory. So in the times of the ancient Greeks, these were considered different subjects. Mathematicians worked on both. Euclid worked both on geometry most famously, but also on numbers. But they were not really considered related. A little bit like, you could say that this length was 5 times this length because you could take 5 copies of this length and so forth. But it wasn't until Descartes who really realized that, who developed what we now call analytic geometry, that you can parameterize the plane, a geometric object, by 2 real numbers. Right? Every point can be, and so geometric problems can be turned into problems about numbers. And today this feels almost trivial. Like there's no content to this. Like, of course, a plane is x and y, because that's what we teach and it's internalized. But it was an important development that these two fields were unified. And this process has just gone on throughout mathematics over and over again. Algebra and geometry were separated, and now we have this field, algebraic geometry, that connects them, and over and over again. And that's certainly the type of mathematics that I enjoy the most. So I think there's sort of different styles to being a mathematician. I think hedgehogs and fox. A fox knows many things a little bit, but a hedgehog knows one thing very, very well. And in mathematics, there's definitely both hedgehogs and foxes. And then there's people who are kind of who can play both roles. And I think ideal collaboration between mathematicians involves you need some diversity, like a fox working with many hedgehogs or vice versa. So yeah, but I identify mostly as a fox. Certainly, I like arbitrage somehow. Like learning how one field works, learning the tricks of that field, and then going to another field which people don't think is related, but I can adapt the tricks.
So see the connections between the fields.
Yeah. So there are other mathematicians who are far deeper than I am, like who are really hedgehogs. They know everything about one field, and they're much faster and more effective in that field. But I can give them these extra tools.
I mean, you've said that you can be both the hedgehog and the fox, depending on the context, depending on the collaboration. So what can you, if it's at all possible, speak to the difference between those two ways of thinking about a problem? Say you're encountering a new problem, searching for the connections versus like very singular focus.
I'm much more comfortable with the fox paradigm. Yeah. So I like looking for analogies, narratives. I spend a lot of time, if there's a result I see in one field, and I like the result, it's a cool result, but I don't like the proof. Like, it uses types of mathematics that I'm not super familiar with.
Yes.
I often try to reprove it myself using the tools that I favor. Often my proof is worse, but by the exercise of doing so, I can say, oh, now I can see what the other proof was trying to do. And from that, I can get some understanding of the tools that are used in that field. So it's very exploratory, very doing crazy things in crazy fields, and reinventing the wheel a lot. Yeah. Whereas the hedgehog style is, I think, much more scholarly. You're very knowledge based. You stay up to speed on like all the developments in this field. You know all the history. You have a very good understanding of exactly the strengths and weaknesses of each particular technique. I think you'd rely a lot more on sort of calculation than sort of trying to find narratives. I can do that too, but there are other people who are extremely good at that.